And you know what? Why don't we get started? Because I'll just say welcome to everyone who's here. Thank you so much for showing up to ask your questions about the summit, Childhood Redefined Summit. Look behind Anne. That's
Carol Merrill
from one of our in-person events. How it's going to work is we have the chat open, and you guys can submit your questions through the chat, and I will keep track of that, and I will bring any questions you've got here. We have a few things that we've already got lined up to mention because we've had questions and things people have been curious about, things that people have liked about it so far that we will share with you. I guess we should introduce ourselves. I'm Pam Laricchia.
I'm Ann Ohman.
And I'm Anna Brown.
Yay! And welcome!
We are Childhood Redefined.
There we go. Okay, so I thought what we would do first is just pop over and I'll give you a quick look at the tech side so that you can know what to expect if you join us. I will just do this lovely screen share thing. And y'all let me know when you can see it.
Yep.
All right, cool. So this is what you'll get when you are inside the summit. We talked a little bit about on the description page and in the emails if you're on the Childhood Redefined email list. But basically, you've got there are videos that each of us have made. There's some videos of the three of us together, and we've basically done a whole welcome section. So it's similar to a conference in some ways. So as you can see here, you've got, we don't want to, I guess I can start one here. When you go inside, you've got the video, you've got the audio, and you've got the PDF text version of everything. So depending on how you might like to take in the course, you can watch it. You can download all of them too. If you have a hard time with streaming, with internet, you'll be able to download it once, however long it takes, but then you can watch it over and over again. The audio you can put on your phone, and the PDFs, obviously you can read, print, whatever works best for you. We've got the welcome session, and then we have Anne's wonderful talk, The Journey Begins Within, my talk, Flow of Unschooling Days, Anna's It's All About Me, and then we've got our combined sessions. So what we've done is we've each taken something that's super personal and important to us about unschooling, something that we have found really kind of hits home for us, and those are the talks that we've each done individually, and then we all come together and talk about, so for example, when the climb feels steep, those are issues and things that we have found can get in the way.
That's the three of us chatting in one session, just like we're doing now, and that's really fun because we didn't have a meeting beforehand about what we're going to talk about, and it's all very organic and just the three of us getting together, and just the wonderful things that grew out of our gathering together is really, really cool, and I think even surprised us with the depth that we got to and everything that we covered. It was really cool. I mean, we would watch it back and we'd be like, I was like riveted watching us back and rooting for us. I was like rooting for me to get over that challenge, and I lived it. I know how it came out, but still something about the three of us together in the conversation, it just really felt electric and deep and personal. Very cool.
It's very motivating, right? I mean, even when we're chatting and watching it back too, every time I was making new connections while I was listening, right? And then by the end of it, I was like, I'm ready for the day.
Like, I needed to hear this right now.
Always. And then then we have another conversation, same thing, the three of us. And again, unscripted, other than, all we did was have a few points that we wanted to mention, bring up, and the
And we have 76 minutes.
we can talk.
I didn't realize that was over an hour and a quarter. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is
a good time to mention that the talks are actually in very reasonable chunks, like little 5-10-minute chunks that are easy to take and pause and do. And that was some of the cool feedback we've gotten, was that people really enjoy being able to pace it themselves, because it's a lot of information to take in and things to think about and swirl around, and you want to apply it to your life. And so being able to pause and take that in chunks, people have really enjoyed that aspect of it. So yeah.
And in the digging deep. And that's what we have found. And again, we're discovering this as people, as we're doing it and as people are doing it. And we're going, oh yeah, that is a cool benefit, because when we do live summits, you just keep talking your talk and hear people, you might say something that, just touches somebody so much, or is really hard for them to hear because they have a lot of work around that to do. And with this, they can stop and sit with it and be with it, and even come and chat with us and say, I'm having trouble right here because I know I do this, or I am this, or whatever. And we're talking with them, and that's what they have said, that they love having this available as they live their normal, wonderful unschooling lives with us by their side. So that's one of the best.
I thought it was interesting. One of the current participants is an extroverted person who's very social and enjoys in-person conferences because they're social, but she was saying how much she's getting out of this because she's able to focus on the material, but yet she's getting that connection opportunity when we're talking in the private Facebook group and that kind of thing. So I loved that, because you might think, oh, it's online for introverts that don't want to go to a conference, but no, I mean, it's really, for both, and you get from it.
Well, that's a bonus for this introvert.
All three. I think that is one of the big things. And it was something, we knew when we decided to move to this format, but it's one of those things that you learn more deeply as you go along. The value of being able to come back to it, right? To be able to pause it. And absorb it. When you're ready, move on, and to know it's always going to be there, and to be able to go back to it in 3 months. Like, you think you've worked through it, you hit, you worked on those things that came up for you that first time through, and you're living with your kids and everything, and then that periodic panic disorder kind of thing. When new issues rise up or the same one comes back, it's always still there for you to go back to. So I think that's a really fun part.
And that's what's cool, is that we knew all this on the surface going into it, and it's the reason why we did this format. And yet to see the feedback take us to such a deeper level of how much it means to them is just so rewarding, and just another thumbs up signs from the universe that it's the right thing. It's really cool.
And just to finish up here, so I can stop sharing the screen for people so you can see us again.
Yeah, I didn't know if we could see the chat.
Yeah, there's also the resources section. Like I said, I'm sharing my book, the first book, Free to Learn. So that can be helpful too for people who are bit newer to unschooling, so that you're doing the unschooling piece and the internal work piece kind of side by side. And of course, we'll answer any and all questions in the Facebook group. I put together this Summit audio album so that if you want to download the audio, say to have on your phone, to when you're going on walks, whatever, kind of like a podcast. I still think
we need to name the album. We need an album name. I mean, that's the band name and the album name.
The next morning I'm gonna wake up and you've been in there and you've changed the title of that, haven't you?
She knows.
Okay, so it looks like we had a question pop up, but I can't see it till you unshare the screen.
Stop share. There we go. And we're back.
We have 9 participants. Yay!
Hi, everybody.
Hi, we've been talking and you've been showing up. We're so glad you're here.
To answer Laura's question, so what Pam was just showing you is all the pre-recorded content. So there's multiple talks, there's the three of us together, we each have individual talks, there's welcome talks, all of that you just take at your own pace. But there is a private Facebook group, but that's, you know, that's a discussion piece and a place to ask questions and a place to gain community with other participants.
Beautifully done. Yes, so that we could have both aspects of it. The pre-recorded stuff and the discussion group, and you are always a member of the discussion group as a summit participant, you know. So even when we open it up again next year for a new group, they will come and join us in the existing group so that you guys will be able to help us answer questions too. And, you know, because that's one of the things I love about the whole internal journey. It's always, like we mentioned earlier, we're always learning. We're still getting stuff out of it. So, you know, there's always value, and you can be as active as you want in the group. You can read it like some of us introverts do. You know, there's no requirement to participate. There's no requirement to even join if you're not interested. That's fine.
Right, right.
But
Right.
it's good for you as another
the content is what Pam just showed you. So that's what's online. So the discussion group just adds that extra layer. We are also planning to do at least one Q&A like we do with the podcast, but are specific to you guys, like the people that choose to join the conference, then they can have their own Q&A with us, and we may do some of this type of stuff with that group also.
Well, and the really important thing is that already there's such a sense of community there in that Facebook group, and
it's so beautiful.
like with all of our full lives and everything, you know, I see a message come up in that group, and I'm like, oh, I want to talk to them, you know, and everything. And it's the unschooling community. It's another entire unschooling community for you to have for support and friendship, and, you know, fellow travelers on the journey. It's really nice.
And I think just the insights that people have shared so far, I mean, really, just those sparks and those connections,
exactly.
Really cool to see how they're taking it in and what it means. And I think that's sparking things for other participants.
And the awareness, we're watching the awareness happen as they're going session to session, and just seeing the, you know, what they didn't notice before that might have been something, you know, that they didn't want to be doing, and now they can see that what it is. So I love that. It's
such a different experience too. Again, not something I didn't expect or realize. You know, we wanted to do the bite-sized content so that people could fit it into their lives and feel like they've done a chunk. Like, we wanted it to be manageable for people, you know, to be able to sit down for 10-15 minutes while somebody's having a nap or whatever. You know, we wanted it to be manageable in that way. But people are now being able to really focus on those individual chunks and really process them. And like Anna mentioned, they're able to process that in the group, and we're seeing it and walking with them through it, like in 10-minute chunks, instead of at the end of the day at a conference with all these people trying to ask questions. So.
Right. And seriously, I didn't even imagine this much value to doing it this way. And that's exactly it, because it's impossible to do this in person. You know what I mean? And and even everybody at their own pace, they're coming back. You know, somebody could just be coming in today and starting again, and somebody could be done with the whole thing and starting all over again, and maybe watching the blooper reel. You guys, there's a You guys, I have to tell you, this is my dream come true, to be in a blooper reel. I love blooper reels, and the minute I thought of it, I'm like, oh my God, my dream has come true. I'm in a blooper reel. Of course, I'm not the potty mouth in the blooper reels, but we won't give away too much about the blooper reel.
Especially when you don't know me, that is really
I'm the potty mouth in real life between the three of us. That's funny.
Okay, so for anybody who's new, just to let you know, if you have questions, pop them into the chat and we will address them there. One other thing I wanted to mention, because I've had a few questions about this already. I'm not sure if everybody's noticed, but there is a payment plan as well. So there's the one-time access fee, but there's also a payment plan so that you can break it over 3 months. If that's your preference, if that works better with your budget, we're trying to make it so anybody who's interested in participating can find a way to do that. And
we have another question from Laura. I just want to, she says, how many hours of content is the conference? Do you feel it's best for a new person, or is there value for a confident unschooling mom? By the way, I love your roundtable on Pam's podcast. I'm leaning toward joining. You get way more than what we give on the Q&A. You get the stuff that that we can't put on the Q&A, and it's fun. But
right, and I would say in a lot of ways it's not for the beginner. You know what I mean? Like, I would say not for somebody that's never unschooled, but yet, I mean, I think you could gain value from it too. But I think a lot of the people we're getting amazing feedback from are longtime unschoolers. But it's because we're talking about digging deep and looking at our own things.
Right, but I think Pam's takes us from the beginning also,
right.
you know, with everything.
Right, so you've got, I think you've got both, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Definitely. Oh, yeah.
And
Yes,
I will just say that one of the great things about it too is, depending on where you are on your journey, you're going to connect with different pieces of it, right?
Yeah.
So
all
if you're
the time.
new, you're going to connect with that, and then
Right.
6 months, 3 months, a year later, whatever, you're going to find different pieces. Different pieces are going to make sense to you. Some that just kind of went over your head, or in one ear, out the other. And that's fine, because that's not where you are. But the value of being able to go back to it is you can come back to it as a more experienced person a few months later and get a whole new set of
She's convinced we can stop talking.
Okay, but I did just want to answer your question too, Laura, in case anybody else. It is about 8 hours of content, and then we'll be adding Q&As as well. So it's quite a bit of content.
And well, the other thing, like mine, talking about whether it's for a new or confident unschooler, mine is a journey within for us,
right,
to get ourselves at where we want to be before we continue the journey with our families and stuff. And we talk about why we called it a summit, and this is exactly it. It's set up that way. It is a journey, and we're starting at the bottom with you, with everybody from where we are, and we're traveling together to where you want to be, and back and forth and around the mountain 100 times. And it's a cool, swirling, flowing journey of evolving and growing. It's really cool. Yes, Pam?
I wanted to just add. I don't think they can see that. I think they only see one person while they're talking, but who knows? We'll see what the recording looks like after. The point I wanted to make was that was one of the reasons why we've had a registration period, right? And we close it, is because we do want to be able to focus on the people who have joined. We don't want to keep going back right to ground zero forever, right? Certainly there's no requirement that you start right away or whatever, but when we've got a manageable chunk of people, we can work in that Facebook group that we've been talking about, and really help you dig into stuff that might be in your way. And then Anna mentioned, in about a month or so in, we will gather up your questions and do another Zoom Q&A recording just for participant questions that will only be available in the course. It won't be public. So that's why we were really keen to do it in groups, right? And then help, 2-3 months of intense work with the people who are in it, and then we'll open it up to a new group. But everybody will always be in that Facebook group as well. So we have
right. But this session, if you join the session, this is your time with us. And that's really, we give you our time. We're there, in the Facebook group. So that's, again, it's the community.
And I thought interesting feedback. Also, one of the participants from our in-person summits, we actually have a bunch that have joined this summit as well, but just saying how much they were getting out of it. And I'm sure they were kind of wondering, well, what would it be like? I've seen some of this and I've been to one of the in-person ones, but
right.
they loved the online aspect of it, and it really, they were getting so much out of it already, so which was really cool.
Yeah, we have a couple who's this is their third summit. They keep coming back, so that's really cool. And then the first two involved traveling from Western New York down to Bethany Beach, Delaware, and now they get it in the comfort of their own home without even putting their pants on if they don't want to.
And that was one of the reasons too. Our initial motivation, I guess, to start looking at this was the difficulty in trying. I mean, we were trying so hard to find a spot that was kind of in the middle where all the people who had expressed an interest could be able to travel, and then you have to pick a date. So not only do you have to pick a place, you have to pick a
exactly. It seems impossible. Yeah, I know. And so and everybody's saying, have it here, have it in Montreal, have it here, come to California, come to
Australia. Yeah,
exactly, and everything. So this is our answer to it. And as we're saying, we knew it made sense and felt good to begin with, and now that we're in it, it is just exploding with satisfaction and fulfillment with how good it is on so many levels.
So do we have any other questions from anyone hanging out?
Yeah, Jenny Gomes asked, is there a live Q&A? Is this old? In the Facebook group? Okay. And getting responses from ladies. Okay. Oh, see, it said open, not answered. I'm seeing that somewhere else. Oh, is there a live Q&A in the Facebook group? Yes. Okay. Are we posting it? No, it's not live. You're posting and getting responses from participants and us. That's not live, but as Anna was saying, that we will be having a live Q&A before we close this session entirely. So, but that's the other really cool thing about it. That I feel I am better with the written word than the spoken word, and again, you get to take your time to answer and compose your thoughts, and then you get the time to take in the answers and read it, and it's not just
right. I think it's really cool because, like today, for instance, someone had just finished a chunk of Pam's talk and had a pretty specific question about how it applied to her and where she was feeling stuck about it, and then Pam was able to respond specifically to her. And in a live environment, it's harder to kind of get that specific response to you because you have a whole bunch of people and people are processing it differently. So I feel like the Facebook group is working really well.
Yeah. Well, and we always feel that way too. Like when we're doing the Q&A, we're just like, God, I wish they could do the summit. You know what I mean? Because like we know that when people are asking questions in the Facebook group that you've seen our content already. So you already have that background and that foundation. And so we know we have references, in our answers to parts of our talks and everything. So that really helps a lot. Lane Clark is here.
Yeah, and I think Anne might want to address that too, because I feel like, yes.
I came in a little late, and I apologize if this was answered. I'm wondering if how the idea of deschooling for parents is addressed. If how the idea of deschooling for you mean in the summit? Is it addressed in the summit?
Right. I guess for me,
Definitely.
That's so much of what the summit is.
Definitely.
It's really about talking about us.
Yes. It's all deschooling.
I know.
Which is which isn't separate from unschooling, which isn't separate from life. It's all about learning and living with a new awareness of everything, and I think that word is really appropriate for what we're bringing is new levels of awareness. And again, that's a bonus of the online summit also, because much like a child reading a picture book over and over and over and over again, it's the new levels of awareness every time, as we've been saying, with each time you hear it again or you go on to the next session and everything. So yeah, we got Elaine Clark.
Yeah.
We're excited to see you there.
Yeah, no, just to reiterate, there is a whole bunch of stuff on the internal work that we go through as part of our deschooling. And I think you'll find a lot of great ideas on what aspects to look at internally, the pieces that can trip you up. My talk also is focused on that deschooling shift from seeing the everyday situations in our lives the way we're used to seeing them and interpreting them, and how to shift and see them through unschooling eyes. So that's one thing that I really focus on. So maybe that'll help answer your question as well.
Yeah, and again, I'm thinking of all of us, and it's all something that we do without actually saying.
I was going to say, right, it's not, I mean, I think Pam talks specifically about it in some ways, but I think so much of what you'll see is, deschooling is kind of a word that separates it from life, but you'll see
exactly.
what I'm talking about is really all of those things that are barriers or obstacles that we put in our own way, and we talk about how to remove those. So I think
I often refer to it as a pivot in our thinking, and that is exactly deschooling. It's de-mainstream society-ing.
Right.
It's de-everything, and just not paying attention to it and pivoting to what's inside of us and what's in front of us in the form of our children, beautiful children. So, yep.
So we're coming up on half an hour.
If people have questions, even if you popped in late, you're welcome to ask.
Yeah, because we don't want to drag it on. We don't want to take up people's time, and we are going to. I did press the record button, and here's hoping it works. And certainly for everybody who signed up, we'll email you a link when it's been uploaded, and we will also share it on the Childhood Redefined page for anybody who wasn't able to make it or wasn't able to sign up, etc. So we are trying to focus on your questions. I mentioned the access, that you have access forever. Was there anything either of you guys want to mention that had come up in questions beforehand?
No, I don't think so. No. So, if you do have a question, now's the time to write it out and let us know. Because most of the questions have just been about their own experiences. We haven't had too much, so it is easy.
Right. I mean, I will say the feedback's been great, though.
Yes, exactly. Easy to use.
Like different formats, those kind of things. So we were happy. There's a lot of putting together and doing all this, and you kind of wonder how is it all going to go. We felt great about it, but that feedback has been consistent. That people have found it easy to use. It's integrating into their life, be it phone, tab, computer, handwritten, printed out. So I think that's been really cool.
Well, and what's been really cool, if you like our Childhood Redefined Facebook page, you'll see that we have posts counting down every day, and our thing is, journey with us wherever you are. And we were inspired by people coming on the Facebook group and saying, okay, I'm snuggled in for the day. And Instagram, follow us on Instagram too, because people are sharing, we're regramming, saying this is my view as I have my coffee and my empty backpack, which you will know what that means once you join. And the kids are playing quietly by them, or they're somewhere else, and it's just time for yourself and with us. And that's what's really cool, because we're with you. And then you can go to the Facebook group and tell us that you spent time with us and how you did it and everything. And it's really special to us. Okay.
Alrighty, I don't see any more questions popping up. If you guys,
so glad you came.
We're very glad you came. Thank you so much. And if any more questions occur to you, you're welcome to post them on the Facebook page. You're welcome to email any of us. We're happy to answer. We're happy to help you out. And we really do hope we'll see you inside.
Yes, thank you. Let us know when you come. Thanks for spending time with us, guys.
Bye.